Last week I started a two-part series titled The Top 10 Mistakes Made by Home Buyers, where I talked about 5 of these common mistakes. As I mentioned in that video, most of the home buyers who make these mistakes think their decisions and actions may be beneficial for them, when instead the results may be harmful. If you haven't seen that video and you're considering buying a house, I'd strongly recommend checking it out. Today, in no particular order, I'm going to cover 5 more of the top 10 mistakes made by home buyers. And I'm going to do it right now on your Monday Morning Marcus Minute. Today, I'm covering these mistakes in no particular order. Since this is part 2 and I covered mistakes 1 through 5 in part 1, I'm going to pick up at mistake number 6. The 6th mistake I've seen homebuyers make time and time again is making life changes prior to closing. This is especially dangerous if you're financing a property instead of paying cash. From the time you go under contract to the time you close, you want to avoid any life changes. These life changes can include things like changing careers. In most cases, it's best to wait until after closing to change careers. If it absolutely can't wait, talk with your loan officer to be sure it doesn't affect your ability to qualify for your mortgage and close on your new home. You also want to avoid making large deposits into your bank account, especially large cash deposits with no paper trail. I remember having a phone conversation with one of my lending clients when I was working as a mortgage loan originator. She told me the majority of her money she had saved was in the form of cash and was hidden in her underwear drawer. I mean, she had to hide it somewhere, right? Because there was no paper trail as to where this cash originated from, she needed to deposit that cash into her bank account and let it mature for a set number of days before these assets could be considered and counted towards her mortgage approval. Fortunately, we were able to make it happen for her. However, there are times when that might not always be the case, especially when it includes adding debt prior to closing. I've seen home buyers open new lines of credit prior to closing and ultimately lose out on the opportunity to buy their new home. In some cases, the house may not have all the appliances you want. That's okay. You don't need to buy them until after closing. If you're under contract to buy your next home, you're going to want to keep life as basic and simple as possible until after you close. The 7th mistake I see on a regular basis is when home buyers do not plan ahead for closing costs. In some cases, we can negotiate to have the sellers pay for a portion, if not all, of your closing costs. However, in the current real estate market here in the Kansas City area, that's not as common as it once was. That's why you as the buyer need to plan and prepare yourself for paying your own closing costs. Now, the amount you can expect to pay in closing costs is different in every situation. Your closing costs may include your down payment, lender fees, title fees, real estate brokerage fees and possible commissions, taxes, insurance, and more. When planning and budgeting for your closing costs, I recommend planning to spend anywhere between 3% and 7% of the property purchase price. I'm also happy to take a look at the property you're planning to purchase and put together an estimate for you. Now, keep in mind that the exact amount of closing costs you may be expected to pay may not be determined until right before closing. That leads us into the 8th mistake I've seen: using all of your money to purchase your new home. Now, I understand that when you fall in love with that new beautiful place you get to call home, you're willing to dump every dime you have into it for the benefit of calling it your own. But let's take a step back and take a close look at how much money you're putting down, how much money you'll be paying in closing costs, and how much money you may need to spend getting into the house and making it your own. I want to share my personal experience with you. When my new bride and I bought our first home, we were excited and knew this was the right place for us. It had the space we needed, it was in a good area, and it was affordable. What we didn't know was how many problems the house had lurking behind the walls. Literally behind the walls. We found out every time we turned the shower on, there was a little fountain behind the wall, which had caused a lot of water damage and rotted out the flooring and the base of some of our cabinetry. We found out there were electrical issues that needed to be corrected to keep the house from burning down. We also learned that when you can simply push your finger through the top of your water heater, it's probably time to replace it. These are things that our lousy home inspector failed to tell us. Now, of course, that's another story. What we learned shortly after moving into our new home was that the home had issues that needed to be corrected, and each one of those corrections cost money. That's when my new bride learned just how much of a manly man she married. You see, she thought I was great at fixing things myself, when in fact, I just couldn't afford to have someone else fix these things for us. We learned a lot about home ownership in our first house, which is why I want to encourage you to keep some money set aside for any corrections that may be required in your new home. If you're enjoying the information I'm presenting today and you find this video informative, please be sure to click the like button on this video and subscribe to our channel. You can also click the notification bell so that each time we upload a new video, you'll be notified. We're focused on providing value to anyone and everyone, just like you, who's considering buying, selling, and investing in real estate. If that's you, give me a call so we can get you started on the path to success. We are your one step to a successful real estate experience, gladly serving the entire Kansas City metropolitan area. Now let's dig into mistake number 9. We already talked about planning to pay closing costs and expenses you may have when you move into your new home, but we haven't really discussed your future expenses. So mistake number 9 on this list is underestimating your future expenses. Now these can include anything from your utilities such as water and sewer, natural gas, electricity, and even your trash and recycle services, and more. Additional future expenses may include an alarm monitoring service and HOA dues or homeowner association dues if you're in one of those neighborhoods. Other expenses that are continuing to increase include high-speed internet and streaming services. To get a better grasp on how much you can expect to spend each month on these expenses, I encourage you to reach out to the local providers. Although they may not be able to give you exact amounts, in many cases they can give you estimates. It's a good idea to list these out so that you can have a better idea and a better plan for your monthly budget in your new home. The 10th and final mistake I'm going to cover today is using the listing agent on a property to represent you. It happens time and time again. You're driving down the road through one of your favorite parts of town and you see a for sale sign in the yard of a beautiful property. You angle your car in a manner so that your headlights are shining on the sign so you can see the phone number. You call the agent whose name is on the sign and you start asking them questions about this beautiful property. The next thing you know, you've been convinced by the listing agent to make an offer that's at or above the list price. This whole time you thought you were doing a great job negotiating, when in fact the listing agent was doing exactly what they were hired to do. They were convincing you to pay the highest possible price and meet all the wants and needs of the seller. Keep in mind that the listing agent is under contract to represent the interests of the seller, not you. It's very important to have your own representation in a real estate transaction. Working with the listing agent without your own representation is like hiring your spouse's divorce attorney. It's highly likely that it won't turn out well for you. I've heard the argument that a buyer may choose to work with the listing agent to keep from paying commissions. Well, that's where you don't have to worry. You see, in most real estate transactions, the seller is who pays the buyer's agent's commissions. The work most buyer's agents do for their clients is absolutely free. Their commission check comes from the seller. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate anywhere in or around the Kansas City metropolitan area, my team of real estate professionals and I would love the opportunity to earn your business. We gladly work in both Missouri and Kansas, and we're here for you. Give me a call or shoot me a text message anytime. My phone number is 816-332-1116. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.